Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by BetterHelp.com and LittleShaman.org. That's me, Little Shaman. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that is really common when dealing with narcissistic people, and that is the idea that we can become educated enough to deal with narcissists and not be harmed by the relationship. This is a mistake that many people make, so I thought we could talk about it on the show today. When you're dealing with narcissistic loved ones, it may have crossed your mind that educating yourself about the dysfunction could be a viable way to preserve the relationship. Yes, they are toxic, and yes, they are hurtful, but if you can learn how to defeat or circumvent that, you can continue the relationship. It doesn't have to end. You can learn to deal with them and fortify yourself enough to where the relationship does not harm you. The problem with this is it's not true. Understanding narcissism does not protect you from the damage of dealing with narcissists. If you are around a narcissist all the time, you're not going to be able to protect yourself from this damage. It is intrinsic to the interaction. Even if you learn not to take things personally, this is still the case. Our brains function a certain way, and they will continue to function that way for the rest of our lives. You will continue to try to be understood and heard by this person. You will continue to try to interact with them the way you interact with every other human being. You will continue to try to have your reality validated. You will continue to try and reason with them. You will continue to try to bond and reach out, and it will all continue to fail. The reason is because regardless of how much you understand, there are certain things that have to happen in order for humans to interact and communicate with each other. These things do not happen with narcissists, and understanding why they don't happen does not change anything when it comes to the nuts and bolts of dealing with another person, because they still just don't happen. Educating yourself cannot change that, and it doesn't somehow make this not a problem anymore. You will continue to project onto the narcissist in your life and fill in the gaps for them because you won't be able to help it. Narcissists have big blank spaces where things like empathy and a basic understanding should be. And assuming these things are there is essential for humans to be able to interact with each other. Your brain makes this jump automatically, and it will continue to do so because it's responding to your eyes and your ears telling it that you're dealing with a functioning adult person even though you're actually not. You may intellectually know that, but it's very difficult to override your brain's built-in reliance on your eyes and ears, especially if you're around this person all the time. The fact that they are not out of control, crazy, cold, silent, or whatever way they're horrible all the time is all it really takes to fool your brain into believing that they can be interacted with in the same way as everybody else, because sometimes they can be. This is one of the many reasons we say no contact is the only real option. Your brain is simply not going to be able to deal with the contradiction. It will continue to make the same assumptions it always makes, and it will continue to be wrong. This is unavoidable, and you're not going to be able to intellectualize your brain out of doing it. It will continue to happen, and it will continue to cause pain and problems. Understanding narcissism and educating yourself about narcissists also doesn't somehow make it possible to successfully coexist with a person who lives in a completely different reality than you do. Knowing this is happening and why doesn't change the actuality of it or make the act of dealing with it any easier. It is what it is, and knowing how or why it is doesn't change anything at all. It's still a massive and fundamental problem in any relationship, and it's a problem for which there is no actual solution. You see, the problem in the relationship with your narcissistic parent or partner or sibling is not that you didn't know what was happening. That is a problem. It is not the problem. The problem is that trying to have any kind of a relationship with a narcissist is not going to work. This person doesn't think like you think. They don't feel like you feel. They don't do what you do. They don't say what you say. They don't believe what you believe. They don't see what you see. Period. Understanding that these things are true is not going to fix them or make them somehow less of a problem. The intense stress and exhaustion of dealing with this kind of personality does not go away because we now know why we are stressed and why we're exhausted. And neither do the constant conflicts and issues that their problems cause. Those don't go away either. People often say, yeah, but now that I understand it, I can deal with it. This usually stems from the idea that not taking abuse personally takes its power over you away. That can be true to a certain point, and it will certainly help your mental health. But first of all, you can't manage ongoing abuse like that. It won't work. Abuse gets to anyone eventually if they keep being exposed to it. Second of all, the abuse is not even the only problem. It's just the most obvious, most dangerous problem. As unbelievable as this might sound, the horrific and relentless abuse in these relationships is actually just a symptom of the much deeper and much bigger problems these personalities have. It's the tip of a very large iceberg. Even if you could somehow learn to ignore the abuse or not take it personally to the point that it ceased to be a factor, which you can't do, all of the rest of the huge and fundamental problems in these relationships are all still there. Narcissists still live in a different reality. They still have problems with empathy. They still see people as objects. They still cannot communicate. They still don't see you as you really are. They still avoid problems by any means necessary. They still don't listen. They still lie. They still gaslight. They still attempt to manipulate. They still misinterpret your words. They still mischaracterize your actions. They still underperform. They still don't bond with other people. They still don't trust anybody. They still utilize a false self. They still never believe they've done anything wrong. None of this is changed by understanding narcissists, and the enormous constant problems these things cause do not simply disappear just because now you're not taking it personally. Even if you don't take anything personally, if you expect absolutely nothing from them at all, the relationship still can't function. It's not a relationship. It's essentially a play that you're putting on where you're pretending you're having an actual adult relationship with this person and that they are a real participant in it. If that happens to be what you're looking for, then this will be perfect. If you're looking for a real relationship, it's going to be a terrible disappointment, and understanding why it's disappointing is not going to change that. The truth is, when you understand pathologically narcissistic personalities, you understand that relationships with them are not possible. You can still live with them, or sleep with them, or visit them for holidays, or have frequent, even daily interactions with them, but it isn't an actual relationship in any sense of the word. Educating yourself regarding pathologically narcissistic personalities is very important. It helps you move on and heal from the trauma sustained in narcissistic relationships. It helps you to protect yourself going forward, to prevent yourself from getting into another damaging, traumatic relationship. However, understanding narcissists will not save or repair your relationship with a narcissist. If you are still in a relationship with a narcissist, the only thing understanding narcissists really helps you to do is understand why the relationship isn't going to work. I hope that clears a few things up for you. As always, I look forward to your comments, questions, and suggestions, so please keep those coming. I take appointments online, over the phone, via text, via messenger, via email, and through Skype worldwide. So if you're interested in speaking with me one-on-one, you can visit littleshaman.org to do that. I teach workshops, seminars, and clinics several times throughout the year. So if you're interested in seeing what we're running this month, you can visit littleshaman.org to do that. And if you are interested in joining our support group with multiple meetings throughout the month and access to exclusive content, among other things, you can visit littleshaman.org to do that as well. You've been listening to the Meditations and More podcast, brought to you by betterhelp.com and littleshaman.org. That's me, Little Shaman. May the Great Spirit bless you. Have a beautiful day.